Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? Well, now you can. Have you heard of Anchor by Spotify? Let me give you a rundown. Basically, it's the easiest way to make a podcast nowadays with everything you need all in one place. Here's how it works. Anchor lets you record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer, no matter what setup you have and when you want to create that day. Then you can distribute your podcast on the most popular listening platforms, including Spotify, with a single tap. Anchor is also the only place that you can publish a video now on Spotify. Anchor is one of the top places used by a lot of different content creators who want to get their voice out there and be heard. And of course, as always, if I haven't mentioned, it's totally free. Go ahead now, guys. Start your own podcast, create your journey, and let your voice be heard. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the locker room. I am your host and your favorite Kansas City girl, Kennedy Bright. And as always, what is said in the locker room stays in the locker room. Get your playbooks ready, guys. What is good, rookies? Welcome back to another episode. This week's episode, we are discussing when you come across a time when you want to go back to old people, old places, and old ways, and how you can miss things. But sometimes, for what I've noticed, is it kind of happens right when something is just unfamiliar for me. And so we're just going to get into what am I even talking about and how I came to this conclusion for something that I'm dealing with in my life right now. This past week, I was talking to my mom and my sister, and I was telling a story, and it involved one of my old best friends. And I've never talked about her on here. Right before I started my podcast, we stopped being friends. So I could have talked about her plenty of times, but it really was not worth it or anything like that. And so, of course, we'll get into that story. I was talking to my mom, and I said, wow. I said, like, you sigh. And I was like, I really miss blank. And my mom said, okay, well, maybe you should text her, or maybe you should say something to her. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. Seeing that, like, my mom knows what she had done and what happened between us, I was very shocked that she was suggesting that I reach out to this girl and tell her I miss her, like, and try to be friends with her again. I was very shocked. A fault that I have, just I've noticed kind of in general, is letting other people kind of tell you or give you a reason to question what and how you feel. Because my mom and one other person, they've kind of in my life have, in this regards to the situation with this person, kind of made me kind of second guess a little bit about what I feel and like how I feel things should be handled. So I was kind of shocked, and honestly, I should have kept how I felt these past years and left it at that and not, you know, kind of even considered going into what I was thinking. So maybe I go back and I'm going to tell you what happened between us so that we have a clear understanding of how I feel and the revelation that I kind of came up with at the end of the week this week, despite how I feel and what I would like, to have from her. So we're going to go back to the year 2020. Ooh, good old like main pandemic year. It was September. She came back home and we met up. We were eating at a restaurant and we just were talking. And she asked me, I could tell by her face, she was a little uncomfortable to ask me. And she's like, do you know? And she said this guy's name, like his full name, like his, government name. For a second, it caught me off guard because I was like, wait, like what? And I was like, because he went by his nickname. And I really didn't know him for that long before this incident that I'm about to say happened between us. So I wasn't really used to it. And I said, yeah. I said, yeah. I said, he's the guy who raped me. You remember back, at MSU? And she's like, oh, yeah, yeah, I remember. I was like, yeah, like that's, what happened. She's like, oh, okay. I was like, why? And she's like, oh, at that moment, kind of like in a movie, I'm like listening to her. I'm still there, but I'm kind of like, it's like faded in the background. I kind of just zoned out because here I am, my heart's beating just thinking of it right now. Like this person's name was brought up to me. So it definitely really caught me off guard. And I was just like, what is going on? And just from what I remember from that moment was just basically like he was trying talking to her or something, and somehow, of course, obviously I got brought up or something. I don't know. We're gonna leave it at that. So I'm like, okay. She's like, oh yeah, okay, wow, well, yeah, I didn't know that or whatever. And I'm like, all right. We hung out with some guys that she was talking to, and about a month later, it's now like October, and at this point, her and I are. She's planning on moving back to KC. her and I are discussing, oh, like, we're gonna get a place together, a couple of business ideas we had. Things are really well. I've known this girl since probably, I don't even remember, like end of elementary, like middle school. And like when you're younger, you're like, oh, you're friends with people, and stuff. But like high school is when we really became like, she was my best friend, high school through college. So this is like super exciting for me. And I'm not, as you'll ever realize as we talk more about me, until probably 2021. Like before that, girl, don't ask me. I don't have friends. I don't hang with people. I don't trust people, all of that. But she was someone, that I did. So I'm super excited. Like we're about to live together. Like everything, this is about to be so great. We were starting a couple businesses, things like of that nature. At a guy's house that I was talking to, and basically he just told me that what he had heard from someone, that he heard a rumor about her. I'll just say that. And I let her know about the rumor because I just didn't want her to continue to be involved with this person. Because I was like, like if he out here, lying, you know what I'm saying? Like we're not about to be, no. So when you come back, like you need to not see him again like that. She said, I guess she talked to him. I guess the guy said it wasn't true, whatever. And I guess she didn't really like kind of like believe, I don't know. It seemed like she didn't really believe me. And I'm like, whatever. Like, I'm not about to sit here and, I did my part. So as time went on, she eventually said, like, one of the things was I was starting my podcast. This one, guys, right here. And I asked her if she wanted to do it with me. And she was like, yeah, sure. So then she went ahead and said, actually, I don't want to do the podcast anymore. I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. Like, it was my podcast anyway. So of course I'm gonna keep going. Like, it's no problem. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. That was probably maybe October or something. I really don't remember. It's now November, and my sister texts me and asks, are you and her still friends? And I was like, yeah, we haven't really talked, since that boy incident. I was like, but yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. We're still cool. Why? And she's like, have you seen her story? I go and look, I can't see anything. And, I don't see anything. My sister sends me a screenshot, and it is her shouting out the guy who raped me in college. Like calling him her twin and stuff, and wishing him luck or something and trying to get drafted or something. I don't know. At that point, I was like, wow, that was like all I need to see. And I couldn't see it because he's blocked on my page. So she had reposted a picture. And the hard part to me was the picture she posted was his basketball picture at my college, like at my university that I went to. And if you remember anything about my college experience, like my assaults, if you've ever listened to the episode, my school did everything in their power to discredit and try to destroy me so that they could keep this player at my school. There were two guys involved. The other one was my ex, but he they didn't want him there anymore regardless. So they cut him a deal, told him if he transfers, they will not continue to investigate it. It won't follow him anywhere, nip it in the bud. But they wanted this guy, the guy who she is posting, they wanted him, I'll call him player number two. They wanted player number two to be the kind of face of my university in the basketball program. He was a transfer. They needed him there, and it was a lot of lies going around. And he's the reason why, because I went to the police and he's the guy who they quote unquote lost my rape kit against, which I had so much solid evidence against this guy. Okay. They're also the same, this is also the same guy who's the reason why I was kicked off the track team because I went to the police to report him. There's just so much. And this one here, like he single-handedly kind of, I felt in my own opinion, has destroyed and taken so much from me. He's the reason why my friends like stopped being friends with me. Although clearly, yes, they're not my friends. They're not good. Those aren't good friends. Like clearly, I get that. But the point is, that's him. I would try to move on with my life, and he would show up to my jobs while I'd be at work and just stare at me. He would come up and like lean over me. And mind you, we're talking basketball, so about 6'5". I think it's like 6'5", 6'6", or something like that. I'm 5 foot. Hovering over me, trying to like intimidate me, and then going up to my friends, what's wrong with her? Why is she acting like that? Would follow me around town, and when I go out with my friends, like this is someone who really just like y'all like he wasn't just like someone who just, oh, he assaulted me, which is just as like just terrible, let alone. And then, I never, saw her from him. No, like he constantly harassed and stalked me the entire time while I still was at the university before I just left. So for all of this, and it all was over just so he could wear that stupid jersey. And then I see that jersey. I see him playing at my school because it's my school first on my school's court, representing my school which all just symbolizes everything that he took from me. And for my best friend in my eye, what I thought, to be posting it wasn't just a picture of him. Like, that's kind of was a little bit more of a nail in the coffin, and you're supporting a career, the career that took everything from Kennedy, the career that took it from me. Yeah, that was pretty bit of much. So when I saw it, I don't even know what I texted my sister. I said something like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I bet," or something like, "Yeah, that's him." So I went ahead, I unfollowed her, and I never said a thing to her again. Literally didn't. There was nothing else needed to say. It was one of those things that, what was I gonna say? What was I gonna ask? I really didn't want to respond. I didn't want to answer. Like, there was nothing. That was clear as day as to what she thought of me. Fast forward to now 2021, it is March. She texts me to ask to meet up. I'm like, okay. So I got back in from after visiting someone in Dallas, and I went, and I was really like kind of on edge. I'm like, what is gonna be? What's gonna be said? So I was thinking, I was very shocked by what was said, but she just explained to me that well, first she wanted to know, well, who told me about the post she made. I said, oh, my sister did. Oh, yeah, yeah, my sister did. Um, anyways, keep going, please. Like, that's not relevant to anything that I've just said. And basically, she stated the point, and she kind of like laughing, like, like playing it off, like it's just like something like lighthearted, and just said she realized it was wrong down, like that but she really was just kind of upset with me because of, what happened between her and the guy. She felt like I didn't defend her when, he was saying that he slept with her when she said she didn't, like that they never, hooked up or whatever. At that moment, everything, yeah, it was a wrap from that point on. She ordered food and everything. She's like, "You're not gonna eat?" I said, "Oh no, I'm not hungry." Because I was livid. At that point, I really would have like almost respected a little bit more if she just would have lied to me and just said some bull like, yeah, I don't need girl, I didn't even remember, I forgot, or something of that nature. Why? Yeah, you should be honest, but just simply because a feeling of like she now realized like it was so embarrassing and that was so bad what she did. Like, there's no way I could admit that I like did that on purpose. But the fact that you can look here in my face while you eat some chicken tenders and kind of smirk and laugh, and like about something that was so serious, someone that you supported. And there's several layers to why that was messed up, which we'll talk about when I get to my therapy session. So I was very upset. Some other things also, went on that day through our conversation, but to stay on topic, yeah, at that point, it was kind of over for me. There was nothing else really that was needed for me to say. She texted me happy birthday and never replied because I was in March. My birthday's in March. I never replied. Like, I never said anything else. Here we are now. It is 2022, y'all. It's a year later. And I told you the conversation that I had with my mom this week. And so I kind of got to thinking, right? Why? I don't even know. Because every time someone says something like that to me, like, you should hear her out. You should. I'm like, go drop dead. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you really lost your mind. Like, are you kidding? So I kind of was thinking a little bit this time. I was thinking about it for whatever reason. And my mom, yeah, you don't know. You should hear her out. I went ahead. I messaged her. I texted her because she was blocked on everything. I unblocked her, and I didn't know if she had blocked me back. So I texted her and I said, hey, because we did get into it last year, a little bit after she and I met. I asked her if she, how she, like, hope you're doing well. Would you like to talk at some point? If you don't, that's fine. Either way, just please let me know. Because for me, like, with my anxiety, like, if you don't want to talk to me, just don't. She said, hi, hello, yes, or whatever. It was very, like, super formal. And I think, too, because I know her for so many years, she's very animated like me. We're very small, animated, crazy people. So I know how, she talks. And so she said, yeah, like, when you talk, like, how long you're in KC. And I said, okay. And I just, like, flat out just, like, said, because honestly, in that moment, I wanted my best friend back. This was just like 2 days ago, by the way, from when you're hearing this. I just wanted my best friend back. I wanted to, of course, I still need to talk to her about like why I felt, hurt or why I didn't, whatever. But like, I really just wanted us to go back to normal. I wanted to go to her apartment. I want to see, 'cause I've never seen her apartment. When she moved back, we weren't talking. So I was like, I want to go see your apartment. Like, what's up with your life? Like, I want to go eat. I want to talk about what's been going on. I want to talk to her about this great guy I'm talking to. Like, I want to talk about clothes and hair and makeup. I that's really what I like just wanted to do right in that moment. And so my first message back was like, I just really want to say, like, yeah, I just want to meet with you because I was like, I really miss you. Like, I really miss you. I was like, I really miss being your friend. Like, I'm kind of like pouring my heart out a little bit, right? Telling her how much I miss her and how, which is true last year, I was not in a place to hear anyone out. Like when I tell you I was at that dinner or lunch with her and I was very angry. I was very angry. I was very upset still from what she did before. And I didn't want to hear her out. Didn't. Honestly, I wanted to hear what she had to say, but I wasn't ready to hear it in an aspect of like even thinking about having anything with her. So, I'm like, yeah, what you got to say? At that point, too, right after she was, dropped from my life, I met so many of the people I'm friends with now. So last year, I don't need this girl in my life. Like, I'm sitting here eating with you to hear you out, but I don't need her because I have made hella new friends. I was traveling, like, I was doing a lot last year. So I was in a mindset of like, you really crossed a screwed up line and I'm done. So for whatever reason, though, the other day when I texted her, I had those friends, but for whatever reason, I really wanted her. I wanted that friendship. So I say all these things, and like I said, I explained to her, I know like last year, you want to meet. I said, and I just don't think I was really in a place of really hearing things and moving forward, etc. She just responds back, "I miss you too," with a period, y'all, and just said to me that she's already said everything that she needs to say. She just wants to move forward. It was so long ago, but not disregarding, if I have something that I want to say, she will, meet with me and hear me out. That next day, I go to therapy. Therapy is on Thursdays. And as I'm in therapy, I'm explaining to her what I'm feeling, like what I just told you. And she says, "Okay, Kennedy, well, why are you asking? What are you trying to ask me? What exactly is your thought process and all of this?" And I told her, so well, I do miss being friends with her, which I do, which is weird because I would tell you out of the course of the 2 years that's, has passed since the incident, I've never missed this girl. She's kind of been like a real, like, you're dead to me. Like that's just kind of how it was. Right. So I didn't know why I was feeling this way at all. And it kind of came to the conclusion that one thing that I've noticed over the course of years now for me is when I get into unknown territory, things that are like possibly could be good for me, things that are healthy, things that I can rely on, things that are, bring security into my life, I freak out and I want to revert back to something that is old. Like I need to hold on to something from the past that may be not harmful, like fully harmful, but something that's just not good for me to feel normal or feel like to feel in quote unquote safe, but it's not, you ain't safe, you know what I mean? But like to feel like, oh, I can breathe. I need a little bit of chaos, a little bit of toxic. I need a little bit of a bad memory. I need a little bit of something, and maybe that is also kind of a form of self destruction. We'll talk about that with my therapist next week, you guys. But I realized I kind of need that. And I say that because there are many times in my life now that I've noticed when I want these old things back from the past. And so I explained that to my therapist. I said, I really don't know why, but I think that's what it is. I said, I do miss being friends with her. I don't know what that is, because this is very new for me. This first week is probably the first week it's been that way, but I do. And I told her, I think the thing that I'm noticing now is you have to sometimes treat your friendships like you do a real relationship. You can miss an ex who is toxic, who's unhealthy. You can miss him so much, but they're bad for you, so you can't go back to them. I said, and I think that's what I need to realize is treating her a friendship like a relationship. I can miss you. I can also forgive you because I have forgiven her, which is so weird. I'm learning that now, which is so crazy. When you forgive people, let's say you got to forgive people for yourself. I'm learning to forgive people, and I forgive her now for it. I see like an old like Snapchat memory about us. It doesn't like make me angry more. I'm just like, oh yeah, I remember that, and just keep tapping, you know, just like that. But learning now in my life how to forgive people, I'm also learning that just because I forgive them doesn't mean I have to let them back in my life, because that's the kind of battle I'm dealing with. I'm like, I don't really want her back in my life, but I forgave her. But Kennedy, do you forgave her, so you should give her another chance, and that's not what it means. That is not what it means, and that's something that I'm learning. And I said that to her, and I said, so that's what I'm trying to deal with. I said, and also I am trying to understand, when is it okay to forgive someone for what they've done and move forward. I said, I'm doing my best to not hold people, because I've done this with guys, like guys I've talked to too. Like, try to understand that we're still growing and maturing, and not hold guys I've talked to back when I was 21, 22, hold them accountable, too much, and think they're lying now and that they should have known better then, because we're younger, and maybe now you realize things that you don't. I said, so I'm trying to do that. I want to give her the same, benefit that I have given guys that have reached back out and want to apologize for how things went between us. I said, I want to do the same thing for her. I said, but I feel like what she did is just not I was just a young, I was just too young and I didn't understand it. That's not exactly what that is. And I told my therapist, I said, I know you cannot expect people to be like you, to do you. That's one thing I've been learning. Yeah, Kennedy, you would do that, but you cannot expect everyone else to do the same thing you would. That's one of the things that, I've been learning. And she says, okay, well, I want to stop you there. In this aspect, I think you can. Someone doing this, what she did, you should be able to expect that any other decent human would also, you know, not do that. I said, okay, well, cool. So I'm glad check one, I'm not crazy or feeling that way in regard to this situation. And my therapist asked me, so do you think, what are your thoughts? She asked about, well, what do I feel about, a friendship moving forward, things like that. And what did I feel about her message back? I said, well, her message back to me was very dry. I felt like she very disregarded what I felt, um, by saying, well, it was so long ago. I'm ready just to move forward and have happiness. And I've already said what I need to say. I feel like anyone who's very sincere about how they've hurt you and acknowledges and knows how they've hurt you, I feel like would want to reiterate their apology if they really give one. She didn't really give an apology. She just said she knew it was messed up. But you know what I mean? They would really want to make sure that you understand moving forward that they know what they did was really messed up. I said, I don't feel like I really got that. I don't really know what all went on because my therapist asked questions. I said, I didn't want to ask. I said, there's nothing I need to know. If you could be involved enough in this person's life to know whatever was going on with him wanting to be drafted or whatever, and you posting that, well, clearly you were enough. Rather you were his friend, whatever, even a fan. Girl, that's not someone I want in my life. And it goes back to just the timeline. I'm looking at it and I'm talking to my therapist. I'm just like, well, maybe, I'm really trying to convince myself that I should give this girl another chance and that it's just kind of, me tripping a little bit, right? And I'm just like, I don't know. But the point is, in September, I told her exactly what happened, like I've now put a name to a face in September of my, of my attacks. And you obviously still stayed in contact after that moment. And my therapist said that to me sounds like she doesn't believe you. She didn't believe you. And that's not, what a friend does, especially not someone that's supposed to be a best friend. I said, you're right. You're correct. That is what it sounds like. My therapist said, well, maybe meet with her, find out what all happened between them, and then maybe we'll give you an idea, whatever. And I went and I looked and they still followed each other on Instagram. I said, well, my therapist said, well, that's the answer for you right there. And I think at that moment I realized I was trying to hold her at a standard of a friend who wanted to get revenge on me and slept with just an ex or a guy I used to talk to, or supported someone. Like I said, I don't know what all they did. Or your friend who still stays in contact with your ex. That's what I was holding her at and as. But this is someone who chose to use the one person who completely single-handedly put me really in the position I'm in right now in life, how my mental health, like just everything, trauma, the reason I'm strongly in therapy. She chose to use that person. And as I said to my therapist, I think that's very sickening. To me, that's something that you just don't do. To me, that is like, wow, how did you wrap your head around that? Because there's not a single person on this earth that I dislike that much that I would do something like that to even try to think about, quote unquote, getting them, getting my lick back. Like how does that work? So I realized I was like, no, I was talking with her. I said, that's just my therapist. So that's very sickening. I said, I mean, there is this level that no one can reach in my life. And there's three people up there. They're the three people who assaulted me when I was in college. She's up there and she now makes four. It's like almost impossible for anybody to reach that level in my life of, I hate to use the word, but hatred. It's really impossible, And so for her, someone I've known for so long, to reach that level and volunteer to be at that level and still to this day continue to be around, entertain, whatever the hell it is with someone else who's on that level, yeah, you got to be done. You're done. You're cut off. You got to be done. It just drives me insane, because I really wanted that friendship back. I did. But sometimes you have to understand that what happens, what that old comfort, all of that, like you can't bring that back into your life. And it was more so that I need the comfort of something old that I still had, like something old, something new, something borrowed. I needed something old because I'm moving in such an area in my life of uncertainty, unfamiliar territory, and it's scary. And I need something old, toxic. I need something from an old part of my life with me, and I can't have it indefinitely. Even if I did, that's not one I should have. I learned like old ways and old people just do not open new ways, open new doors. They don't bring you anything new. I also learned that it's okay to forgive people, but not have them in your life anymore. You can do that. That's actually possible. I always thought whenever I forgave someone, that meant that I was, oh, if you forgive them, yeah, because that is how it is. Normally, with like normal stuff that people do, like normal friendships or relationships that I have with people, they just do like normal screwed up stuff. Yeah, like, okay, whenever I'm ready to fully forgive you, we can move forward. But I now have learned from this situation that I can forgive you, and that does not mean that I need to have you in my life. And I felt like that's what I was dealing with. I'm like, well, I did forgive her, as of recently. I did forgive her. So I should be able to give her a chance. And my therapist said, no, that's not how it works, Kennedy. Forgiveness does not mean you have to give them access to you again. I said, oh, okay, didn't know that. All right, new territory, you know, because yeah, no, with the level, like I said, the level she's on with the rest of them, yeah, that's different. That's a different level, y'all. That's a little different now. So I learned that. I also learned kind of like some of my self sabotage a little bit. You know, I want that back. Why? Because I want that toxic, a little bit of that toxic back in Kennedy's life. I want those things, and that's not what I need. I need those bad memories. Why? Why are these bad memories comforting? And as I talked to my friend yesterday, talked to Gina, hey girl, we were talking, and I was talking to her about like this new guy in my life. Oh my God, why am I talking about this? Well, actually, I met him last year, but we've been communicating, and not to jinx it, but just to state the facts, because it does go with this. It's so healthy and it's scary. And I think between him and just everything else going on in my life, like I have a lot of new feelings, a lot of new things, a lot of new experiences that I'm having in my life. And it's scary because they're all different. I'm used to the same toxic, unreliable people and things and patterns. And so I'm craving to go back. So it's a little self sabotaging. So you can't go back, guys. We cannot go back to whatever, once felt familiar. It's not healthy. I will, continue to miss this friend, miss this relationship. But just like, an ex, I have to miss her. But that does not mean I need to be with her or be friends with her again in my life. And a part of me is super upset and regrets ever contacting her, because the reason I got to the point of contacting her was because I was listening to other people. Listening to other people telling me that, oh yeah, you should maybe hear her out. Maybe you should be friends with her. Maybe, when I knew in my heart that I didn't want to, that I didn't think it was possible, but I am trying to talk myself into it being possible because of other people. So at that moment, I regret it now, because now I've opened this door with this person kind of for no reason. And now I'm like, well, shoot, well, how do I shut it? Stay true to yourself. Stay true to what you believe. This podcast might not honestly have really made sense or touched anyone, but if you are someone who ever is just used to in your whole life things that are unstable, toxic, trauma, anxiety, mental, like not good environments, like just not good, like used to anything good happening, and you're getting to a place where you're not creating that life for yourself and it's something that's good, I just want to say to you, whatever you do, it's okay to sadly miss the dysfunction and the toxic and the uncertainty. It's okay to miss it, but never self sabotage yourself in the situation that you're in to go back to that familiar area and part of your life just because you're used to it. Don't do it. Go to therapy, talk to God about it, and just pray to push through it. But it's a form of self destruct. And honestly, it's okay, guys. We get it. Like, we've been through things, so it makes sense. But do your best to stay in this area that is uncomfortable, because the sad thing is, just because it's uncomfortable, sometimes uncomfortable is good. Sometimes it's something good because you're not used to it. You're used to bad. So stay there, stick it out, work through it, and come out on the other end feeling better. I really thank you guys for listening for this week's episode. I'll keep you updated, but just know you can forgive people and that doesn't mean you have to be with them. Thank you guys so much. Bye.